Congratulations, I didn't get to say that yet. Beautiful little girl, beautiful.
Rachel? One chapter at a time, yeah. Let me, you know what? Let me have my meeting with Torah so and then we'll see. I don't think so. I really don't.
I know it still wasn't on your radar.
It's not on my radar at all. I don't know. Ask Rachel. I really have no idea.
It doesn't matter. What's the difference?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. I'll just forget about it.
Yeah. Or should be.
Straight ahead. Yep. You want me to show? Yeah, we're about to get started.
Good morning, everyone. For those who don't have seats, I still see there are a couple areas that are open. Please find your seat so we can begin now. Thank you. Bershus Harabanim, I want to thank everyone for coming here this morning. Words certainly can't describe how I feel this morning. To be able to speak about someone who we all love so dearly. But before I get to my specific words and introducing the morning, I want to start off with a couple of thank yous. I want to thank Rachel Mandelbaum, Shira Greenberg, Yaakov Meir, Rivka Zauderer, Rabbi Claire, for helping make this event an incredible reality. I want to thank all the members of our board, staff, and parent body. We have close to 250 families and graduates who participated in today's dedication to really perpetuate Rabbi K's legacy at RYJ. And 1,000 thank yous to Rabbi Bernstein for the thousands of hours he put in to making this event and the learning so powerful and meaningful. I want to start off by calling to your attention words that we think about every single morning, words we think about multiple times a day. We say in our Shemona Esrei, Elokei Avraham, Elokei Yitzchak, Elokei Yaakov. We talk about each one of the avos separately, recognizing that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is their God. Similarly, in parts of B'chukosai, it says, V'charti is Brisi Yaakov, V'af is Brisi Yitzchak, V'af is Brisi Avram. Each one separately. Each one is pronounced as an individual. And many people ask, especially when it comes to the Torah and how precise HaKadosh Baruch Hu is with the language, many people ask, they're all worshiping the same God. They all have that relationship with the same Ribbono Shel Olam, the same bris, the same promise of Zerah and Aretz was given to each one of the avos. What's the need to mention each one separately? So one of the more common answers that's given is that each one of the avos found HaKadosh Baruch Hu through their own path. Avram Avinu through Chesed, Yitzchak through Avoda, and Yaakov Avinu through Torah. And then when we say these words, we're supposed to think about our path, our connection. And that's really what I want to say to all the children here and to the grandchildren, great-grandchildren of the Kamenetskis, that there's a very powerful lesson that we've learned from Rabbi K. At the Levaya, I spoke about Rabbi K as the Eved Hashem. And I spoke about his consistency. And I know when we were thinking about this event, we were trying to put together some characteristics. And I have to admit, something bothered me that I feel like we left off the list. And truth is, the list could have been 1,000 different terms. We spoke about his Yiras Hashem. We spoke about Rabbi K's Avas HaTorah, Avas Yisrael, his Tefillah, the Chesed, the Midos Tovos, the Emes, the Shalom, the Simcha, the Akva. But something else hit me. Something else that I learned. Something else that I learned from Rabbi K hit me, and that's the message that I want to share with everyone this morning. And that's Dveikus. Rabbi K taught me about Dveikus. And Dveikus means on so many different levels. We think about our Dveikus b'Hashem. Anyone who had the opportunity to watch Rabbi K daven and understood what his Seder Hayom was, understood that he was passionate about his relationship to the Ribbono Shel Olam, that he wanted a closeness to the Ribbono Shel Olam. And he lived his life every moment about how can I connect to the Ribbono Shel Olam. His relationship with his family was legendary. The pictures in his office, the way he talked about his children and his grandchildren in every conversation showed about his deep connection to each and every one of them. But there's one other thing that I want to share with the boys in this room and to those who are watching. Something that took me and a lesson that I've learned, and I know that all the Rebbeim in this room have learned so much from Rabbi K, is his Dveikus b'talmidim, his connection to his students. How much he took an interest in each and every one of you. Your simcha was his simcha. Your growth was his growth. Your learning was his learning. There was no disconnect. The connectivity between Rabbi Kamenetsky and each and every one of you was so incredibly deep. The roots that he established with each and every one of you was so deep. Every aspect of your life was a part of his life. Every breath you took, he cared about. Every decision that you made, what camp you went to, what high school you went to, he deliberated on that for hours upon hours. because his understanding of what it means to be davok, to be connected to someone, was greater than I think any of us could ever understand. And to be in the presence of such an individual, to be in that aura, to be in the environment of someone who really understood that, and what it means to be dedicated to other people, is one of the greatest musars that each and every one of us can take. I can't tell you how much I miss Rabbi K. I literally think about him every single day. There are so many lessons that we learned. We're going to miss the love he shared with each and every one of us. My own children still ask about Rabbi K. The bottom line for each and every one of us is we have to take these lessons and we have to perpetuate them. We have to take these midos tovos and live them. Every one of us in this room and everyone who's joining us from abroad, we're the ones who are going to perpetuate this legacy. So our responsibility to live the Rabbi David Kamenetsky legacy at RYJ. Thank you. It is now my privilege to call upon his son, Rabbi Yitzchak Kamenetsky, to share a few words on behalf of the family.
Bershus, Rabbi Price, Rabbi Bernstein, members of the faculty, Imi Morasi, my mom, our family, and most of all, Talmidim Yikarim. On behalf of our family, we would like to extend a heartfelt Hakaras Hatov to Rabbi Price and to the entire YNJ family for organizing this special dedication ceremony in memory of our father, Harav David Sivan Harav Yosef, Zichrono Livracha. You know, now when I was driving on Kinder Kamek Road approaching the building this morning, I had the feeling that despite the fact that I think in my lifetime I've only been here 3 or 4 times, I really feel like I was coming to my own home. As you all know, my father loved every aspect of YNJ. The yeshiva, the staff, and of course, most of all, the students. He served YNJ with dedication and distinction for 16 years. How appropriate it is that current and future generations of YNJ Talmidim and staff will be able to continue to learn from his Midos Tovos and Menschlichkeit by looking at the walls of the yeshiva and remembering who he was and what he was all about. Our family has also been so moved by the way YNJ has kept my father's memory alive by learning Pirkei Avos each week in his memory, and by learning about different aspects of his life through stories about him. And while there are different constituencies in the room, I think if my father was here, he would focus mostly on the kids. So I'm going to try to do my best to direct and focus the words that I have to say to the Talmidim, to the children, to the kids, to the students of YNJ that were really my father's lifeblood. Chazal tell us that Yitzias Tzadik min hamakom osa roshem. When a tzaddik, when a righteous person leaves a place, so that makes a mark. There's a void. And I sort of feel like now we're celebrating the 1-year yard site. I don't know what we're going to think about in 2 years or in 5 years or in 10 years or in 20 years. But if we're on the 1-year yard site, it's a very appropriate time to try to take a moment or two and think about the life lessons that my father's life stood for, so that we can try to take them while we can still taste and feel and remember and think a little bit about who he was. As Rabbi Price mentioned, I could probably sit here and tell you 50 attributes of his life that are worth remembering. But when I went to Smicha class, they taught us that you're supposed to talk in threes. So I'm going to suffice with 3 lessons. And Rabbi Price and I did not coordinate beforehand, but I'm going to illustrate each lesson with a story or two. Number 1, as Rabbi Price mentioned, and I think this is so appropriate for YNJ, and it's why when we were discussing what time to show up in the morning, are we going to come for davening, are we going to come for afterwards, I said if I'm speaking here, I have to come to davening in the morning. Because that davening at YNJ, that my father stood at the front of that davening for 16 years every single morning. That davening was a piece of my father. In probably the second or third to the last conversation I ever had with my father before he passed away, he was gushing about that minyan. He was gushing about the respect that the Talmidim had for the davening at that minyan. He was like, he couldn't believe it. He said, I can't believe how quiet it is. I can't believe how focused it is. I can't believe the respect that the kids have for the davening. My father was a model for students about how tefillah should be conducted. At the Shiva House, one of a YNJ colleague of my father met him told us a story that he met him at a summer minyan, and he was remarking to my father how it was a pleasure to be able to daven not with the Talmidim over the summer in shul. He didn't have to worry about keeping everybody quiet. And my father couldn't understand what he was talking about. He says, I'm looking forward to going to daven with the Talmidim. This is what I love to do. I love to daven there. Another person came to the Shiva House in Eretz Yisrael, someone who had davened with my father at the teen minyan in Bnei Yeshurun for many, many years. And he was telling us that when somebody was not exactly focused in the minyan, my father would go over to him and say, I think you lost the place. Let me show you the place in the siddur. I think you lost the place. I have here a letter, which I'm not going to read in the interest of time, from a boy who spent many, many years with my father in the teen minyan. My father encouraged him. He writes that he saw a lot of talent in me that I didn't see in myself. He unknowingly inspired me he has taught me skills over 20 years ago that I still use today, and I've passed down to my own kids. Leading the Megillah, becoming a gabbai, and now his kid is the gabbai in the 8th grade minyan in Los Angeles that he is in. So if I could think of one thing to take away about tefillah for the Talmidim, it would be to think of the respect for tefillah, and to maybe, in memory of my father, to take upon oneself, maybe B'li Neder, of course, but to take upon maybe during Kaddish, during Psuki de Zimra, whatever a person's up to, to make sure never to say a word during the parts of Davening when we're supposed to be focusing on the Ribono Shel Olam. The second midah that I want to highlight is, the Rambam teaches us that if a Rav is Dome LaMalach Hashem, Torah Yavakshu Mipihu. That a person's only supposed to learn from a Rebbe who's compared to an angel. Very, very strange. We're all human beings here. We're not angels. What does the Rambam mean? Perhaps we could understand the Rambam to mean that an angel is someone who has zero self-interest. By definition, an angel is created only to do the will of Hashem, as Rabbi Price said. No self-interest. And my father was incredibly humble. He never looked for honor for himself. He was willing to lower himself and complete tasks that probably he should not have been doing. He lived to do his job and the job of the Ribono Shel Olam. He was not interested in the pleasures of life. I think that on the last day of his life, he was involved with making sure the mishmar food was ordered, the sweatshirt order was in. There was no job that was too small beneath him to get involved in. My entire life, I remember him schlepping tables, cleaning up garbage. He really was very humble and never considered himself to be above anyone else. And I'll share with you one story that was told to me by Dovi Newberger. He said that on the 7th grade trip when they went to Philadelphia, and they went to go visit the great tzaddik, Rav Shmuel Kamenetsky in the yeshiva. And the whole 7th grade, I think it was the 7th grade went into the room, and they were there with the great tzaddik, and Rav Shmuel begins talking to the 7th graders, and he said to them, you know, it's very strange that the Talmidim are sitting and the Rebbe is standing. Like he was gently chiding the boys that they didn't realize, but they just took up all the seats, and my father was standing and all of them were sitting. So Dovi says, he said, it never occurred to us that we should get up and get out of our seat to have Rabbi Kamenetsky sit down. It was so natural to us. He was like a big brother to us. He was like a friend or a big brother. Like we didn't look at him like as a Rebbe that needs kavod, that we should stand up, that somebody should offer him our seat. Because my father never gave off that kind of an impression. In a yeshiva community, Talmidim, sometimes one boy will say something to another boy, maybe he'll get offended. Sometimes staff can get offended. If you're a humble person, you don't have an issue. That's why my father was such a great peacemaker, because everyone knew he had no personal agenda. He would clean up the Malava Malka. There was a story in camp where the Malava Malka was going too late, and the kitchen was getting upset. The kitchen staff was getting upset at the camp, the administration. So my father said to the kitchen, he said, "You guys go to sleep. Just give me the broom. My father was the director of the camp. He said, "You guys go to sleep. Give me the broom. I'll sweep up afterwards." My father got such incredible honor and respect after he left this world, because while he was here, he never ever looked for it, and we were all shocked, and we're sure that he had no idea about how many people he impacted. The Gemara says, "Kol haboreach min hagedula, gedula holechas achra." And finally, the last thing that I want to share with you is how my father believed in every single child. He had an ayin tova. He believed in every single human being. He believed in every person. He only saw the positive in every child. The Mishnah says in Pirkei Avos, this is Ezu Derech Tova Shein Bak Ba'Adam. Rabbi Eliezer ben Hurkana says Ayin Tova. My father had a unique gift. When he would speak to you, even if you had done something wrong or you had issues, he had a unique gift to be able to allow you to have your dignity, even when he would speak to you. I can't tell you how many kids, there's probably kids sitting in the room right now, who when you came to our house to pay a shiva call to us, you told us this. You told us that one of the things you remember, my father was so careful with every word that he would say. So the Mishnah says, "Chacham hizaru b'divreichem." He knew how to talk to somebody in a way that he would preserve the child's dignity at all times. He would never say a word, even when he had to say things that people didn't want to hear. He had to reprimand. He could reprimand also, but he knew how to say it in a way that would preserve the child's dignity. Just yesterday, we had a beautiful ceremony at our home. I can't go into the whole story, there's not enough time, but a cousin of my father's first cousin once removed was a kid in camp. He wasn't a kid who was having particular hatzlacha. Let's put it mildly that way. And my father gave him a job in camp. He put him in charge of something. And it made him feel like $1 million. This was a kid who in school got no honor and dignity and respect. He was not a good student, and he had a very low sense of self-esteem. And my father made him, figured out a way to lift him up and make him chashuv. And years later, the guy is incredibly successful in business. I think he has donated in the last 4 or 5 years over 60 Sifrei Torah to various institutions. And most as quietly, people don't know. The woman who was killed in Poway near San Diego, so this guy, he donated a Sefer Torah in memory of that woman. He does it all over the world, Sifrei Torah. And the sofer who works with him told us yesterday, he donated 60. He's never once gone to any Sefer Torah dedication of all the Torahs that he gives. He does it quietly. He's allergic to honor. He can't deal with being in the limelight. Yesterday, he's mishpacha, but this was the first one. He came from beginning to end. He was there from 10 o'clock till 12:30. And my brother was talking at the Hachnasa Sefer Torah, and I could see he started to get so emotional. And he was talking about how my father knew how to give each person their dignity, and how my father felt every person has a chelik in Torah. Every person has a piece of a Sefer Torah. Every person has a letter in the Sefer Torah. And this fellow who donated the Torah was clutching onto a picture of my father. And when he left the house, he took it with him. He gave us a Sefer Torah, we gave him a picture. It was a pretty good deal we got out of it. But, and there's so many stories. I had one other story, but I've already spoken way too long. On the second day of Shiva, we came home. We got a 1,200-word email from a YNJ graduate who has since moved on to Israel. And he tells a story here. I think the kids would have a good time the kids would have a great time if I would read to you what he described his years in YNJ like. Now, I will say it was probably a different YNJ, not necessarily the same YNJ that we have today, certainly from some of the stories he says here. But he talked about the same thing, about how, even though he was a big troublemaker in elementary school, but somehow my father had a way of always giving him respect. He had some private jokes with my father, and he was broken. Upon hearing of my father's patira, he tells how he met. I know this email gave my family incredible chizuk. He's now like, he learns half a day in Kollel, and he works the other half day, lives in Eretz Yisrael, has 4 kids. And he met my father in the old city once. My father had a little trouble placing him at first, and then he figured out who he was. And my father says to him, "It's so great seeing you here." And he writes, "I know what he meant. He meant it's so great seeing you here because there was a good chance that I could have been somewhere very, very differently." He just concludes the letter by saying, "I hope I can be a soft-spoken parent to my kids like Rabbi K was to us in YNJ. And I doubt that my kids will get to go to a school where the mechanchen's dugma ishit and mito can impact them like Rabbi Kamenetsky's impacted me," etc., etc. So, As I said before, and in closing, I'll just say that to the Talmidim, my father always only saw the good in each one of you. In his memory, I would urge you to only see the good in each other, to only see the good in yourselves, to see the good in yourselves, and to only see the good in your Rabbeim and your teachers who are trying to motivate you and inspire you to be the best that you can. And finally, the last word just about YNJ, as I said. This is such a special place. Our family will never forget the honor that every person here showed my father, and the joy, and more importantly, the meaning that you brought to his life. I pray that the time will come soon when we will all once again be reunited with him. Thank you.
So, as we heard, we've been spending the last couple of weeks learning Pirkei Avos together throughout the building, trying to bring out the midos that we learned from Rabbi Kamenetsky, Zeichat Tzadik U'Bracha, taking the messages, the stories, and instilling them in our lives and our daily activities. When we started the process of designing this morning, when we had the dedication down the hallway, and I see him coming up in a moment, a particular Mishnah stuck out to me. Mishnah teaches us, Akavya ben Mehalal Omer, Histakel b'shlosha devarim ve'ein tel bo lidei aveiro. Look at three things, and you'll be encouraged not to sin. You'll be encouraged to have strength to overcome obstacles. Da'amei ayin basa, know where you came from. Lana ta'olech, where you're going. Ulifnei mi'ata osin litei devecheshman. Before who you will ultimately stand in front of in judgment. And I'm thinking this Mishnah, though of course we're talking about a Kodesh Baruch Hu, I thought about this dedication down the hallway. If you look at these three things, we think about in the Torah, we learn about Yosef HaTzadik, who was faced with a challenge. And in that moment of challenge, he thought of the image of his father, Yaakov Avinu. He was histakel with his father's image in front of him, and he was lo litein lidei aveiro. I would suggest that when we find our challenges in life, we can similarly look and stakel b'shlosh devarim, and now see down the hallway every single day when we come up to class, when we pass in the hallway, we get to see, just like Yosef looked at Yaakov, we get to look at Rabbi Kamenetsky, Zeichat Tzadik U'Bracha. May I also, where did you come from? Think about our childhood. Think about the school, this institution. Think about the yeshiva, the rabbeim, the teachers who have instilled in us the midos, the values that we're supposed to live by. The midos that Rabbi Kamenetsky lived by, and he demonstrated every single moment of his day here in school. We have to think me'ayin basam, for as long as we live and we are stakel and we look to Rabbi Kamenetsky, the image of his face, we can remember me'ayin basam. Ulana taholek, where are you going? Where are we going? Are we utilizing these lessons? Are we utilizing all the things that our teachers have taught us, that our Rabbeim have taught us? Can we keep that image of Rabbi Kamenetsky in front of us for all time? To be able to come up to this hallway Rabbi K concourse, and look at each of those pictures that you're going to see in a few moments. And think about La'an Taholik, how we're going to use those lessons, those values, to lead a more meaningful life. And finally, one day, after 120 years, when we stand in front of our Kodesh Baruch Hu, and He asks us, did we use those lessons? How did we act? How did those lessons manifest themselves in our lives? It's not enough to just remember a person. It's not enough just to look at a picture. We need to live by those values. We need to see the pictures. We need to have the memories of all of our exchanges, our interactions, the times where our day could have been derailed by something that happened, but yet you saw this kind, compassionate face. And you knew that He had infinite love for each one of us. Are we using those lessons in our lives? We have that chance of Istankel B'Shlosha Devarim. We have that chance. Istankel, we can go down the hallway and we can see that face. We can see that smile. The eyes that gleam with such personal love and connection to each person, as if each one of us were His children. So the bracha for all of us is that every day when we pass those pictures, try to focus on one of those pictures. Whether it's the pictures you're going to see of Rabbi Kamenetsky davening, whether you see it's a picture of him dancing by Bar Mitzvah, smiling at a student, bending down to connect with that, each child. Connect with one picture. And try our best that we can connect with that midah, connect with that picture, and we're going to dedicate each day to emulate Rabbi Kamenetsky in some way, so that the day will come, we can say, we learned from someone great. If we act like a Yosef and have Yaakov in mind, we can have Rabbi Kamenetsky's face in mind, and we can learn from him. Every day we will find ourselves down the future, down the line, having recognized incredible growth over time. And we'll owe it all to Rabbi Kamenetsky. There are a lot of people who have been inspired in different ways. We have a day of learning, a day of chesed coming up. We've been learning Pirkei Avos. We have a schus of having a siyum now, where one student decided that he was impacted by Rabbi Kamenetsky's Hasmada. I'm not sure if everybody knows that every single morning Rabbi Kamenetsky started with earphones in his ear, walking down the street, learning Gemara. He was learning Daf Yomi, and that's the way he started his morning, early in the morning. There's an 8th grader who learned from this Hasmada and has taken up the task over the course of 2+ years to learn to say the Moed Gemara. But we encourage that every single student, although you may not be able to make a siyum today, but each person could bring a schus Rabbi Kamenetsky in your own special way to connect with one midah or another. Today we have the schus of your Benny Cohen being Messiah. I was asked not to give any accolades. But for those who know Benny Cohen, a tremendous masjid and someone who Rabbi Kamenetsky was infinitely proud of. So we have the schus of having Benny Cohen Messiah.
Bereshus, Harabanim, Rabbi Neuberger, Rabbi Feldman, my Rav, Rabbi Rothwax, Rabbi Rabbi Price, Rabbi Bernstein, Rabbi Memoro, Rabbi Kamenetsky's family, teachers, and guests. The Gemara in Chagiga, Daf Tesvav on the Beis, quotes the following. My dichsiv kisavasai kohen yishmer das v'torah yivakshu mipiu ki malach Hashem tzavakosu. The Gemara asks, what is the meaning of the pasuk from Malachi, Perek Beis, pasuk Zayin? The lips of a kohen should guard knowledge, and people should seek Torah from his mouth, because he is an angel of Hashem. The Gemara answers, what is the meaning of the pasuk? Im doma harav v'malach Hashem tzavakos yivakshu Torah mipiu v'im lav al yivakshu Torah mipiu. The Gemara explains that if a rabbi is similar to an angel of Hashem, people will seek Torah from his mouth. But if not, people will not seek Torah from his mouth. As we can see from the Gemara, one can tell if a rabbi is similar to an angel of Hashem if people seek Torah from him. Rabbi Kamenetsky Zatzal was such a person. 2 days before Rabbi Kamenetsky was niftar, several boys put on tefillin for the first time. And as usual, he gave his famous bracha that they should put on tefillin every day with the same enthusiasm that they did today. And he asked us the following question. What is the source of this famous bracha of mine? And the next day, the morning before Rabbi Kamenetsky was niftar, he explained to us the source where it was from that week's Parsha, Parshas Ba'aloscha at the time. And he said, when the pasuk is referring to the menorah, it says, Vayas Kain Aaron. And Aaron did this avodah, a strange lashon not used by any other of the avodos in the Mishkan. And he said, Rashi explained by the Sfas Emes, says that this is teaching us that Aaron never changed his enthusiasm from day one. He did it every day with the same enthusiasm. And this is the continuous enthusiasm that Rabbi Kamenetsky was teaching us to have. How lucky we were to have Rabbi Kamenetsky as a daily role model and principal, and let us not forget his words of inspiration to us on having enthusiasm for our tefillin and all of our mitzvahs, because that was the last time he ever spoke to us. Thank you to my uncle, Dr. Adam Becker, who suggested Rabbi Shalom Razner's Daf Yomi shiurim to me, and thank you to Rabbi Shalom Razner for all of your recorded shiurim, which enabled me to learn Seder Ma'od. Thank you to all of my rebbeim for encouraging me in my learning, and thank you, Hashem, for allowing me to learn from Rabbi Kamenetsky's midos, his Yirah Shamayim, and his love for Torah and Yiddishkeit. I will now say the final words of Masechtas Chagiga and make the siyum. Amar Reish Lakish, Ein Or Shel Gehenim Shaletes B'Poshe Yisrael. Reish Lakish says the fire of Gehenim does not affect the sinners of Yisrael. Tosfos comments over here that this is referring to people who only sin a little. Kal V'chomer Mimizbeach Hazav. It's a Kal V'chomer from the golden Mizbeach, which the Ketores was offered upon twice a day. Ma Mizbeach Hazav Shein Alav Ela Kovei Dinar Zav. Just like the golden Mizbeach only had a thin gold coating on it, 1 dinar's worth. Over 410 years, twice a day, the fire did not burn through that gold. All the more so by the small sinners of Israel who are filled with mitzvos, like a pomegranate is filled with 613 seeds. As it says in Shir Hashirim, Perek Daled, Pasuk Gimel, like the seeds of a pomegranate you are filled. Al tikri rak escha, ela reikanim shebacha, alachas gavim kamim. Don't read a rak escha, meaning the seed, rather read it reikanim shebacha, the ones empty of sin. Hadron alach seder moed, hadron alach. Da'atan alach seder moed, da'atach alam. Lo nisna shem inach seder moed, lo sisna shem inan. Lo ba'am adein, lo ba'am adaseh. Hadron alach seder moed, hadron alach. Da'atan alach seder moed, da'atach alam. Lo nisna shem inach seder moed, lo sisna shem inan. Lo ba'am hadein, lo ba'am adaseh. Hadron alach seder moed, hadron alach. Da'atan alach seder moed, da'atach alam. Lo nisna shem inach seder moed, lo sisna shem inan. Lo ba'am hadein, lo ba'am adaseh. Yirtom Nachal Nai Lohina V'Sinish Case Araskum Nasina B'Lam Azeh Hussein Nano L'Olam Haba Chanin Bar Papa Rabbi Bar Papa Nachman Bar Papa Achai Bar Papa Avmari Bar Papa Rafim Bar Papa Rafish Bar Papa Surfer Bar Papa Ad Bar Papa Dar Bar Papa Harv Not Nai Lohina Inspiration Araskum V'Finu V'Fios Am Chav Israel V'Niyak Kulana Ranachim Tzatzinu Tzatzay Am Chav Israel Kulana Yadesh Nachal M'Dei Sarsecha Nerevai Techak Minim Tzasecha Kilo Luam Hili Ili Vis Samim V'Kukecha L'man Lo Yivosh L'Olam Lo Ashkach Pekudecha Kivam Ch'Yisani Brochat Ha'adnai L'Amdina Chukecha Amen, amen, amen. Salva'ed. Modim anachnu l'lach l'fanecha Adonai Eloheinu v'Yivasinu shesamtach al ken miyoshvei beis hamedrash lo samtach al ken miyoshvei kranis shanu mashkemim v'heim mashkemim anu mashkemim d'reis hara v'heim mashkemim d'varim batelim anu amelim v'heim amelim anu amelim kam sachar v'heim amelim v'einem kam sachar anu ratzim v'heim ratzim anu ratzim chayalam haba v'heim ratzim Lever Shachas. Shnemar Vatalim Terdim Lever Shachas Anshi Dam Mirma Lo Yechtu Yimeim Vaniv Takbach. Yotzom Menachla Adonai Elai Kashem Shazar Tainim L'Sayim Seir Moed Kin Tazrein El Haskell Mesachtos Spar Macherim L'Sayimam L'Mod L'Amid Lishmer Balasos Chaimus Koldrei Samator Sechabi Avaz Choskal Tanam Amaram Samidei Chacham Yamod Lil Zari Shlos Sanosh Hatorim Piyum Pi Zari Vizar Zari Alolam Vizkayim Bim Salchat Temcha Osaf V'Shalchat Tishmar Lecha V'Akitzo Sehis Yichacha Kibi Ribu Yemecha V'Yosiv L'Cha Shnos Chayim Orchimim Bimna V'Svala Usher Vod Anaz Zametain Anaz Raksima V'Shalom Yiskalav Yisrael Ashmer Ba'amadu Asam L'Skadasa Chayim Yisrael Asaka Yisrael Chayim Amal M'nei Kartad Yishlayim L'Shachla Yichala B'Gaval Ma'akar Pochana Nu Chara V'Nara V'Asava Pochana Dishmaya Asrei V'Amet L'Dusha V'Rechun Ma'asev Karei V'Chaychon Yamachon V'Chay D'Chol Yisrael V'Agol Zman Kirvim Ramein Yesh mir Rabba Marav, Olam Mayom Ayah, Yisrach V'Shbach V'Sparus Mami Yisnasei, Yisalav 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 Shmin Kuchab Rechu, Leilum Kol V'Chasav V'Shir Asad, Dushma Chasav V'Nechma Asad, Amaram Al-Mavim Ramein, Al Yisrael V'Al Rabbanan V'Al Tamideyan, V'Kol Tamidei Samideyan, V'Kol Mandaskim B'Oraisa, Divas Radin, V'Di B'Chol Asar V'Asar, Yehil Hon Al-Chon Shol Merabah, Chin V'Chista V'Rachmin, V'Chayin Arichin, V'Zon Aricher, V'Kanam V'Chodom V'Von V'Shmei V'Ramein, Yesh V'Merav V'Shamayim V'Chayin V'Lim V'Kol Yisrael V'Ramein, O Seshel of Ravi, Seshel V'Lim V'Kol Yisrael V'Ramein.
Please have a seat. We're going to show a photo montage in a moment. Pictures shared with us by the Kamenetsky over the years.
Singing in the classroom every single day. You help me learn, you teach me how to grow. Starting with
to patiently head out the double doors. We're going to have a seat in the hallway closest to the teacher's concourse right before the wall. So if everybody can come in and have a seat, just create a path for the family to come by. Thank you.
Finish up. I'm gonna finish up and clean. I'm leaving.
center plaque reads as follows. Over the course of 16 years, Rabbi David Kamenetsky Zecher Tzadik Livracha, a giant of a man, walked these hallways with a smiling and warm countenance as he greeted and spoke with everyone he passed. Rabbi Kamenetsky guided and mentored countless Talmidim, helping them develop exceptional midos, a deep understanding of and appreciation for Torah, and a love for Hashem and his people. In his calm, warm tone, Rabbi Kamenetsky inquired not only how the students were performing in school, but made it clear that his greater concern was the general well-being of each student. The exceptional effort that he made to attend every simcha was always appreciated, as his presence created a warmth and happiness like no other. The lasting relationships that Rabbi Kamenetsky forged with his students extended through the generations. When a student would return to RYNJ as a parent or as a teacher, or meet him at a simcha, Rabbi Kamenetsky's glowing face would speak the adage that defined him to the core, for his students are likened to his sons. This area, now known as Rabbi K's Concourse, is the center of our boys' middle school. As our students pass through it each day, we know they will be reminded that Rabbi Kamenetsky always saw the best in them and wanted the best for them. They, in turn, will strive to be their best and make him proud. Take a look. We're going to head downstairs, though, to grab our knapsacks.